This episode of The Practical Divorce Lawyer, I'm going to examine some really bad advice I read recently, so stay tuned. Everybody, welcome back. In case you're new here, I'm Jonathan Noble, divorce and family law attorney. Happy to have you. You know, if you know me, you know I like to read the Sunday New York Times. I know it's not what it used to be. And in the Times, there's always this section called Social Cues. Philip Galanes is the guy who answers questions from people who write into him. And when is this? May 14th, 2023. He gets a question about prenups, and he gives what I consider to be the worst advice in the history of civilization. All right, so I'm going to read you a question real quickly and explain why this is the worst advice and why on earth he feels qualified to give advice on prenuptial agreements. It defies logic, and it defies me. This guy is like unbelievable. Say no to a prenup is the question that this person is asking. I've been dating my boyfriend for 3 years. We've been living together for 2 of them. Last week he said we should get married and that he wants a prenuptial agreement. I've always paid my own way in our relationship, so I was surprised. He has more money than I do, but it's not exorbitant, succession type wealth. I agreed to his request because I was taught to be financially independent, but now I resent him for it. I'm nervous about what's to come rather than excited to get married. Can I push back on this? Signed, girlfriend. All right, so let me set up the fact pattern. She's been dating a guy for 3 years, and he said we should get married. But he said he wants a prenuptial agreement, which is a great idea for a number of reasons. So Galanes, this guy who answers these questions, and I'm going to highlight his answer and explain why it's absolutely absurd and qualifies, in my opinion, as the worst advice on a prenup in the history of humankind. All right? He says, I'm not generally a fan of prenups for people without big assets or liabilities, or children from previous relationships. In a nutshell, let me tell you why this is a terrible way to look at this. Everybody has a prenup, okay? Either you get your own drafted and properly executed, or this is your prenup, all right? The state or province or jurisdictional law, wherever you are. What would you rather have? Like your own prenup that takes care of your assets and liabilities, or do you want thousands of pages of state law and an expensive divorce lawyer who's going to charge you by the minute to try to divide everything after you say, I do? So he's like, well, you don't have big assets. Who cares how big the assets are right now? Unless you have nothing, all right? This is what it could go through. And if you have a vindictive spouse who wants to drain everything and burn the earth. Yes, people actually do that all the time. A simple divorce could get litigated for years and tens of thousands of dollars. So then Mr. Galanes goes on to say, complex prenups that divide assets before they exist or cap support payments before there's a track record of earnings are silly. Really? Okay, so if you're super ambitious and your spouse runs off with the pool boy and has unbelievable sexual escapades with him, and you don't have a prenup that caps alimony or support payments to your wife who ran off with the pool boy, let's call him Julius, all right, for the sake of this hypothetical. So if you have a prenup that caps support and alimony payments, and she runs off with Julius, then you don't have to worry about it. But if you don't, and you have a high earning capacity or high income, guess what? You're going to be paying for her trips to faraway lands with Julius, the pool boy. So I don't understand how this guy could come off and give advice like this. It's bizarre. Then in closing, he says, don't be bullied into a prenup. Though don't marry the guy if you can't agree on what's fair. Again, let me get this through this guy's head. Maybe he's watching this. I don't know. If they don't have a prenup, this is their prenup. How come he didn't mention that? Because he doesn't know what he's talking about, all right? Now, all the time in these columns, I've been reading them for years, he gives some absurd advice. But when he starts to tiptoe into the land of prenuptial agreements and divorce and family law, and I read something that is clearly not correct, I make a video about it. So don't read this guy's column on legal issues, because he has his head in the sand, all right? Check with local legal counsel in your jurisdiction. They'll tell you the truth. Don't rely on stuff you read like this. Doesn't matter. Be careful out there. Drop a comment, like, subscribe, share this with somebody who reads this guy's column, Social Cues. All right, Philip Galanes, because he could be leading them down the wrong path. And I don't want that.